All right, so this particular job made me think of one of the fundamental principles, I guess, that we talk about when it comes to applying coatings. You know, we talk about applying coatings on the cooling cycle of the concrete so that the air in the concrete is not blowing out as it would if it was expanding or heating. It's actually being drawn in, and it's going to draw the resins in. And the reason why we talk about that is, of course, because we don't want pinholes. We don't want the resin to go over the top and then to blow a bubble, pop, and then leave a crater and so forth with a pinhole. And this particular job was done on the rise. So I did the wrong thing. There was no primer involved. It was just roll coat direct to concrete. And in theory, based on the increase, like it was hot and it was increasing in heat. So in theory, I should have ended up with pinholes in all sorts of places. And I've seen floors that were horrendous, you know, like truly nightmarish stuff. And I was expecting to come back and see a certain amount of pinholes that I'd have to fix before I do the next coat. Much to my surprise, I didn't end up with a single crater, a single pinhole. And that kind of threw me, because I was expecting it, and it was a bit of a sleepless night because I didn't know how bad it was going to be, and particularly when it gets up near a roller door where the heat's beaming down and so forth. But not a single pinhole. And that started me thinking about that whole process and what is it that was taking place. Was it linked to the prep style? Was it linked to the resin that was being used? And yes, it might be, and that's the normal way that we tend to think about it. But on the prep side of things, I had different prep areas. I had shop blasted, I had ground, I had diamond brush tooled areas. So, you know, I would have expected to see pinholing in one or the other and so forth, but no difference anywhere, no pinholes. As far as a resin, well, I have seen pinholes before with that easy epoxy roll coat, so it's not, the answer isn't in the resin. So I was stewing about what was going on, and then it dawned on me that there was one other parameter that I'd forgotten, and that was that I had just finished, and within a couple of hours there was a massive storm in this area, and I was also cringing about what I'd see the next day, because there was a section of my floor that went outside of the roller door, and I was expecting to see crap blown into it. I know that it doesn't amen blush because of easy epoxy roll coat, but I was expecting a lot of crap blown into it and so forth. So it wasn't too bad. I ended up with grit coming under the door. There was leaves blown in different places. So I kind of got that. But it raised the one question that I need industry experts, I need some boffins to have a think about. And it is the risk of pinholing more to do with the change in barometric pressure? If we're going from a low to a high, is that change in barometric pressure more likely to cause pinholing than in this case where we ended up with a storm, we ended up with decreasing barometric pressure? I don't know. And it's one of those questions that I'll need to chase down some industry experts to tell me what's actually happening. Is there a notable difference in pressure in a concrete slab compared to atmospherically? And which way is it going? Like, is it likely to blow, or is it likely to suck in and so forth? So this may open up a whole can of worms as to the old principle of rising temperatures and so forth. I hope it does, because it could actually be a wonderful answer for us to finally understand more about how to prevent pinholes. So I'll leave that one with you. Please send in your comments, ask the questions. Let's get some dialogue on this one. If you know an industry expert, share it with them and see what comes of it. I'm ResinJack. As always, take care and keep smiling.